Hello, thank you for your interest in the opening range breakout strategy. I will start by covering how I got here and maybe why you are also interested in this strategy. I've been trading this opening range breakout for quite some time now, and I used to do it manually, and it was quite tedious. I found if I used the mini contracts such as ES, I could not control my risk very well because the opening range would sometimes be so large that it would completely blow out any risk parameters that I set up. And using micro contracts could help me control my risk better, but required a lot more calculation on my side, depending on how many ticks the opening range was and how much I wanted to risk and so forth. So by the time I calculated all of that out, even with a spreadsheet to help me, sometimes I would miss the breakout because the trade would start moving and I would still be figuring out what my position size would be and so forth. So I started to automate this a couple months ago and have got it to the point now where I use it every day and no longer do any manual work. Um, so I will start by going over some of the features that it has. Once you have the indicator installed, you'll just come up here to strategies. I'm sorry, strategy, not indicator. Come up here to strategies. Um, Make sure that your ORB breakout index is on here. You just click it and hit add if it's not. I'm assuming that if you're buying a strategy or interested in a strategy that you've already used NinjaTrader quite a bit and you're not brand new to it. So I'm not going to cover all of the steps of installing this in this video. So by default, these are the settings. These are the settings that I like to use. You can change any of them if you wish, obviously. I have the entry type set to retest of opening range because I find that it best controls my risk. I'll go over that in a minute. My stop type and target type are both half range. The most I'm willing to risk is $500. It will automatically calculate the amount of micro contracts, or if you're a baller, how many mini contracts, if you're trading the minis, that you need to place, and it will automatically enter that quantity on the trade. If you only want it to take one trade per day, which would be the first breakout of the range, you can change this to one instead of two. You can also enable a trailing stop, and it will trail by half the range, either up or down, depending on which way it breaks out. And the default times are 9:30 to 9:45. I use the 15-minute opening range. You can obviously change these to the initial balance if you wanted to, or a news event, or anything else. The trade start time is when the indicator strategy will actually start looking to enter a trade after the opening range is formed, and I have these set to the same time because I want it to immediately start looking for a trade as soon as the opening range has formed at 9:45. You can also tell it to stop trading um, at lunch if you want, or any other time. So once you've reviewed all of this, you can click enabled, and that will give you your actual strategy buttons over here. These, when clicked, will automatically update the strategy in real time, so that once you have that enabled, you can basically go the rest of the day with just these buttons. I'm going to use the same time frame for all of these trades with playback, just because they give a good representation of all the use cases you could use this for. So this is April 14, 2025 is the date I'm using. So I'm going to just hit start on this playback. I'm going to increase the speed though, so we don't have to watch everything. Uh, so I got to pause it again. It's already going. I'm getting ahead of myself. I have it too fast. So I have all of, just double check all of this when the opening range starts forming. Have it on retest of opening range, half range as stop, half range as target, trailing stop is off. Right now it's currently disarmed. When the opening range has completely formed, it will print a box down here that shows the contracts it's going to try to enter at, also the risk that you've assigned, and then how many trades it's taken per day. If it's at the maximum amount of trades for the day, it will change the box to red to notify you that you've exceeded your number of trades. So I'm going to hit play again and arm it. So now it is actively seeking a breakout of the opening range high and the low, but the range is still forming at this time. Once the range has formed, we have this box. Now, since I have it set to retest of opening range, it's going to look for a breakout either below this range or the high of this range, and then when it comes back to that range, it will enter on a limit order and continue. And then it will automatically set the stop and the target based on what you picked over here. So we'll just let this one play out here as an example for the half range target, half range stop, and retest of opening range as the entry method. So we have our breakout. Now it tests the limit order at the retest zone. So now it's targeting, you can't see it, but there's a one half range line right here, like this one.
Order canceled.
And we are filled at the half range target. So I'm going to pause that. So that was a winner. At the half range stop, half range target, I'm going to back this up to the same point. So now I'm going to change this to close outside of the opening range, and I'm going to rerun it just to show you what that looks like. You'll see that as soon as the candle breaks and closes outside of that range, it will fill with a market order at that price. It will get you into a trade and not leave you behind, but it will also make your risk to reward ratio not as strict because you're entering at a less than one reward with a one risk, if that makes sense. Because you're risking this distance, but if the price closes here and opens the order, or opens the position, you're risking more to make less. That'll make more sense once this position fills.
Order filled.
All right, so I'm going to pause it. So this candle closed below the range and it filled with a market order there. So you can see if we do a risk, this risk reward tool set to 1-to-1. So that is a 1-to-1. That is what we achieved when we used the retest of the opening range. But you can see now that we filled down here instead of here. We're actually only going to get this as a reward. what we're risking this. So the risk is greater than the reward in this situation. It's very crucial to back test the different entry types and exit types and other scenarios for the market that you want to trade, because I mean sometimes you're going to get left behind, and if you do the close, the retest of opening range as an entry, sometimes it's just going to leave you behind and you're not going to get filled, and you have to be okay with that, because sometimes if you get filled a lot at market down here, your risk to reward ratio is no longer 1 to 1, and you need to win a lot more often to actually get a profitable over time. So it really just depends on what you are trying to trade and what the probabilities of those working out over time is. I will cover that at the end of this video on what I've been doing to try to give you some uh, hope for the future on your own trades. But this is just something you need to consider. All right, so I will continue this forward, and it will still hit the same target that it did before. But this is where we would have been filled on the retest.
Order canceled.
All right, so I'll back that up again. I'm going to change it to breakout and show you how you could use this and how it could get you into trouble. I would consider using breakout for maybe a news trade where you want you can set the time to the opening range would actually be the minute before and the minute after the news, and then
Order
the
filled.
trade time um, could be the minute after the news as well. And if as soon as it breaks that, it would enter you into a trade in that direction. Um, but what happened here with the breakout is this candle wicked below that range and filled us with a stop order. But you can see now we're in a pretty significant drawdown and
Order canceled.
ultimately get stopped out. But because we have it set to 2 trades per day, it is going to try to enter us into another breakout trade. So it placed another stop order down here because we are below the mid-range. Once we go above the mid-range, you'll see that it's going to try to anticipate
Order
a
canceled.
long breakout like that. And it will continue to change the stop position
Order canceled.
depending on if it's above or below the mid-range price of that range until it's filled or until the time that you have it to stop trading is exceeded.
Order canceled. Order canceled. Order canceled. Order canceled. Order filled.
So we got filled on our short now. And you see the box change to red down here because we are at the limit of trades that we set for the day. So it will no longer take
Order
another
canceled.
trade after that point. It's now, I guess you could say, disabled. All right, so the last thing I'll cover on here is the trailing stop. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to keep the stop the same at half range. I'm going to target the full range, which would give you a 1 to 2. I'm going to change that back to retest of OR because that will give us a true 2 to 1 risk reward ratio. Um, and I'm going to turn the trailing stop on. So what the trailing stop will do is trail one half range behind the price until it is filled. You can also take the target all the way off. So now I have no target. It will continue in that direction until the trailing stop is hit. But in this example, I'm going to leave it on full range with a trailing stop. And this is another reason why you want to back test everything. I mean, maybe it's better to leave no target and just a trailing stop. Maybe overall your market would do better with that. I don't know. I don't know what you're trading. It's something you need to play with. But I know that with a half range stop and half range target with a retest of opening range, that on MES I get between 60 and 70% win rate right now, over the last couple months. And if you do a one half range to full range, you actually end up with more profit and about a 55% win rate. Still something I'm collecting data on, but you would want to do the same thing with the market that you're trading. And I will go over those metrics with you in a moment after this example plays out. So we have our break,
Order
our
filled. Order
retest,
canceled.
and it's going to trail this down until it hits our target. And
Order canceled.
if it breaks long,
Order canceled. Order
sorry,
canceled.
it's going to talk too
Order
much. I gotta
canceled.
wait.
Order canceled. 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 Order canceled.
All right. So what I was trying to say is if it breaks long, it will make these same projection lines, but in green above the range. Um, all right. So going back to what I was saying about metrics, I've been collecting some data. These are all trades that I did manually, um, and I'm also doing them automated now, obviously. But over the last couple months, these are the metrics I've come up with, going by the day and overall. So overall, a 1-to-1 ratio risk to reward has won 71% of the time. 1.5 to 1 and 2 to 1. You can see the percentages there. I also have it broken down by day. So, I mean, Tuesdays, I wouldn't want to do a 2 to 1 on a Tuesday or a Friday. But you can see that, what the win rate was based on the risk to reward on that day and over time. So it just allows you to better plan, I guess, if you want to try to do a 2 to 1 versus a 1 to 1 on a certain day, or overall what works out in the long run. And this is something I'm going to continue compiling. Um, every trade I take, I log in here. I'm hoping to start doing it for the other markets as well. Like the YM and the NQ and maybe the RTY. But so you can select what strategy parameters you'd want on each one, or even if it's not worth trading one. I mean, like this right here, Tuesday is 60% overall is still decent, but I would never want to trade a 2 to 1 on um, Tuesday or Friday. It just doesn't work out. It barely breaks even. So I don't know. That's just what I'm collecting, and I'm gonna start posting the stuff on the website as well, so that you can keep up to date with what is working and what is not, and maybe it will help you make better parameter decisions. But I do obviously encourage you to do your own back tests and make your own decisions and not just blindly follow what I'm doing. This is just what's working for me, and it's only working for me right now. Next week could completely change. But anyway, I hope this helps you out and maybe can free up some of your time. And, you know, sitting in front of the chart all day can be lonely and stressful. And this one trade, this one binary event, it either wins or it doesn't every day, has really made me more focused and a better trader overall. So I hope it does the same thing for you.